Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Through storytelling and conversational interviews, this weekly radio show offers listeners firsthand insight in starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Connect with Kerry through her candid, often funny, and informative weekly blog, where you'll read and comment on life as wife, mother, daughter, and entrepreneur. And now it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
This show, Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, began with Entrepreneurs in Mind, a platform for me, a small business owner, and my guests, and today 2 guests, to pay forward our experiential knowledge in a conversational way. And with all new endeavors, it has had some unexpected outcomes, like the show is not just for entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs, but for everyone. We are all inspired by everyday people's American-made stories of how they worked hard, took risks, and found their voice. Another is that business is creative, more so than I ever really thought. And last, behind each of my successful guests is the heart of a teacher. Before I introduce my 2 guests today, I'd like to follow up on last week's show where I paid tribute to my mother's passing. Thank you to everyone who sent me their condolences. I had so many nice shout outs from people. Thank you very much. I enjoyed reading every one of them and felt a connection that we all shared during this. I guess we're all going to have this season of our life. Today, my guests are John Burgess and Mark McClelland, co-founders of Mainstream Technology in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm going to make these 2 smart guys dumb down their conversation. They're laughing. For those of us who want to learn either about starting a business and living the American dream, or on a personal level, how technology is going to change the way we do things in the future. And of course, you may want to learn about their services or want to hire their company, Mainstream Technologies. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you may be asking yourself, what's this lady's story and why does she have a radio show? Well, Tim is here to tell you.
Thank you, Kerry. Over 40 years ago, with only $400, Kerry McCoy founded Arkansas Flag and Banner. During the last 4 decades, the business has grown and changed dramatically, from door-to-door sales to telemarketing to mail order and catalog sales. And now Flag and Banner relies heavily on the internet, including our newest feature, live chatting. Each decade required a change in sales strategy and procedures. Her business and leadership knowledge grew with the time and experience, as well as confidence to branch out into multimedia marketing that began with our nonprofit, Dreamland Ballroom, as well as our in-house publication, Brave Magazine, and this very radio show you're listening to now. Each week on the show, you'll hear candid conversations between her and our guests about real-world experiences on a variety of businesses and topics that we hope you'll find interesting. Kerry says that many business rules like treat your employees well, know your profit margin, and have a succession plan can be applied across most industries. What I find encouraging is her example that hard work pays off. Did you know that for 9 years while starting Flag and Banner, she supplemented her income with many part-time jobs? And that just shows that her persistence, perseverance, and patience prevailed. Today, Flag and Banner has 10 departments, and I have 25 coworkers. It reminds us all that small businesses are the fuel of our country's economic engine, and they really do empower people's lives. If you would like to ask Kerry a question or share your experience or story, you can send an email to questions@upyourbusiness.org.
I have 2 guests today, and they are John Burgess and Mark McClelland, co-founders and president and vice president, respectively, of Mainstream Technologies in Little Rock, Arkansas. These 2 mavericks went from promising careers as financial application managers. I think that's software. Isn't it software developers? Okay. It's radio. You can't nod.
Yeah, well.
Look, they both go, as financial application managers, software developers at Dillard's to starting a tech business in 1996. John attended Bryant High School and afterward initially studied Aerospace Engineering at Virginia Tech before transferring to the University of Arkansas at Little Rock and completing his undergraduate degree in computer science. Mark holds a Bachelor of Science degree in data processing and quantitative analysis, which he just told me is just
a fancy word for statistics.
I like it. Quantitative analysis from the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. In 1996, only 1 year after the Internet was released to the public, the Internet support businesses and Internet support businesses were far and few between. John and Mark saw an opportunity and took the all-American entrepreneurial leap of faith and left their secure and lucrative careers at Dillard's and founded Mainstream Technologies. These two guys may seem like rigid intellects, but I can promise you in the last 2 decades, they have stayed flexible and open to change, or they wouldn't be sitting here with me today. Technology has changed the way we all do personal and professional business, and Mark and John's company has been a beacon of light to guide many, many businesses through the storms of change, including mine, Arkansas Flag and Banner. Anybody doing business with Mainstream Technology can count themselves lucky to have such a solid and dependable business partner in these often unsecure, confusing, and ever-changing technological times. It is a pleasure to welcome to the table the Mavericks. Y'all never thought you were Mavericks, did you?
No.
Mavericks and co-founders of Mainstream Technologies, John Burgess and Mark McClelland.
That was good. Thank you, Kerry. Can we use that?
You can use every bit of it. We were talking right before we came on about how long we've known each other. And when I was doing the research on your company and it said you started in 1996, I thought to myself, I've been with you since you very first opened up. But you guys, when you got here and we started talking about it, said, no, 2004. And I said, no. So Mark, because we live in the world we live in today, you emailed back at the office and they said I was actually a customer since 2005.
That is correct.
So you started your company not as the company that I know it as, but tell us, it started as a software company.
Yes.
And what kind of software?
Just contract development. So we would hire ourselves out to anybody that needed.
It's got to be more specific than that, because you can do all kinds of software. You can do banking software.
Well,
you can do.
And we do all kinds of software. But the first thing we did was a hazardous waste tracking application. We
tracked hazardous waste.
Yeah, it was a company in Northwest Arkansas that's no longer there. They had a company like Mainstream, and they knew one of our former partners. I think they went to college together, and they had just signed this contract to write this software for this company in Illinois, and they had nobody that had any of the skills to actually do the project. So, so this friend of a friend started talking and laid it out for us, and it was the things that we knew how to do, the things that we were good at, fit perfectly the skills that they needed for this job. Mm-hmm. So we. You said you started Flag and Banner with $400. We scraped together $300 and started
Yes.
Mainstream.
So you were still working for Dillard's?
Yeah.
We left Dillard's when we decided we had a contract for at least 6 months. And we left knowing that we were going to be subcontracting and we're going to be paid weekly so that we didn't have cash flow issues. Mm-hmm. So there was no initial investment. We didn't, sell our 401ks or anything like that. We basically went into business knowing that we were going to be able to make our payroll that next week, and we just took the leap at that point in time.
How many employees did you start with?
Three.
And how many you have now?
61 with 2 contractors.
You did a 6-month contract, and you thought, what if this doesn't work out? What am I going to do next?
Yes.
Well, everybody at Dillard said that we would be back. They were waiting for us to fail.
And they would have taken you back?
I believe so.
We had a good safety net. We left on good terms with upper management, and they would have taken us back, I believe.
And what software did you write for them, for Dillard's? It was an accounting software, wasn't it?
Well, I was in charge of the financial applications group, which were responsible for point of sale, credit card authorization, general ledger. So all the accounting systems, all the programmers that developed that software for Dillard's worked for me. John was in logistics or vendor supply chain. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so any of the systems that were involved in ordering merchandise and then receiving and shipping that merchandise to the stores, all that kind of fell under my bailiwick. I had a group of programmers that reported to me.
So there's a big building out behind Dillard's that's this big concrete building that I watched them build, and I have heard rumors that is their computer building. Is that true?
Their computer building is up the street just a little ways from that major building where they house all their corporate personnel.
Right. So there's the big Dillard's building. Then
Yes.
there's the Packet House, and then there's
yes.
this
You are
low
correct.
building right at the curve, right by the train station.
Yes.
Is that really full of mainframes and whatever kind of computers are
Yes, it is.
temperature controlled?
Yes.
So Dillard's has never had to like go out and buy software like the rest of us and do software upgrades. They just wrote and own their own software that you guys helped write long time ago, and they've stayed with that.
Well, they're constantly rewriting that software because their business changes, has changed dramatically over the years. So they're constantly rewriting software, and a business that large and that complex depends on
Custom software.
bought software as well. So
Oh, it does?
yes,
Every time Arkansas Flag and Banner has done a software upgrade, it has almost bankrupted me. They always tell you it's going to cost $50,000. It always costs $100,000. They always tell you it's going to be streamlined. It's never streamlined. You end up losing sales, losing productivity, sales, productivity, and really the tracking of your finances every time. They're talking about doing it again, Tim, this year. Did you know that?
I've heard.
It scares me to death every time they talk about doing an upgrade and internet and website upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Frightening.
yes. Everything
Yeah.
is so complicated and so interconnected that it's hard to touch one thing without breaking another, or you have so many jobs and processes that depend on the software that.
So so when people want to buy these little out of box softwares, it's not as foolproof as people think, unless it's more of a mom and pop store, I would think.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do y'all make websites? I mean, do y'all make website designs? Y'all don't, do you?
No, that's not one of our.
So you started off as a software writer. When did you decide? I met you in 2005, and you began to take care of my, what's that called? My server and backups and servers and protection. When did you decide to go from writing software, to being a broader mainstream technology?
About 3 months before we signed with you.
Well,
I believe that.
we gained a little bit of experience when we developed an application for a former relationship that we had out of Dillard's, and a company was formed by a former relationship, and they essentially brought us a software product on a napkin and said, we would like for you to write this for us. So we developed that application for them, and then naturally their next step was, well, you need to host it also. You need to take care of all the operations side of it, which we had no skills to do that. So we hired skills to begin supporting that application and running it. The term back then was ASP, which I can't remember exactly what the acronym means, but it was just basically hosting. It was software as a service we were running for them, for their customers. So,
And you were just hosting like a website or just a server?
No. This was a full-blown application that we had written. We actually kind of developed it and tried to run it distributed across all their client base, and then we brought it back in-house. But the point is...
You still write for Dillard's?
No,
No.
we've never done anything for Dillard's.
I thought you just said that was for Dillard's that you wrote.
It was for a relationship, a former employee of Dillard's who went out and started their own company, and John had a relationship with him, and they kind of came back to us knowing that we were in the software development arena.
I see. So when I bought flagandbanner.com in 1995, when I heard of it, y'all started mainstream technology when I first heard of the internet, and y'all started mainstream technology in 1996 because you got an offer to write some software, and you thought, we could go out and do this on our own, maybe. There were a lot of companies before I met you in 2004 that are no longer here, and y'all are still here. I mean, both of us were on the bleeding edge of a revolution in the way businesses do business, and it almost bankrupted me. I had to put a second mortgage on my house. And let me see if I can remember any of the people I worked with before you. Conley?
I remember them.
It was a woman, one of the smartest women I've ever met. And I think she got so tired of teaching everybody how to turn a computer on and what the internet was that she decided, and what a database meant, and that she left town and moved to a bigger city where I think she had more like-minded people. So her business, Conley something, was no longer here. And then I think I was with, it's not Wind, it was WebLinks, WorldLinks. Does that sound like an old?
Yes.
They used to host my servers before y'all did, and then they folded. Look, y'all are nodding.
A lot of change.
Why do y'all think that y'all stayed the course? I mean, really, I can't think of anybody that's still around.
We've been very fortunate.
Don't be modest. Really, why?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is good fortune. That when a very good friend of ours, when we first started the business, was a good mentor of ours and used to give me some advice. And I remember him saying when we first started, he goes, you know, you guys got a good thing going. He goes, I'll be interested to see how you do when the first bad thing happens. And for 20 years, I've been wondering, have we had the bad thing? And we've had some bad things happen. And I always wonder, okay, is this the one he was talking about? Or was it the last one? Or is it yet to come? But it's, you know, we've been fortunate that we've had, when bad things have happened, we've had some at least one very stable client or relationship going on that kind of tided us over, that we could use as a bridge across a gap. The reason, you know, that you're a customer of ours today is that we made the decision literally 3 months before we signed you that we needed to diversify away from software development because the infrastructure, the IT services was more monthly recurring revenue that we could predict, where the software development, while it's very lucrative, is these big, large projects that you have to ramp up a lot for, you do them, and then they ramp down. And then if you don't have something else in the wings, then you're all looking around at each other like, okay, what do we do next?
Yeah, substantial peaks and valleys in the software development.
And you don't want to lose your great programmers because you can't get them back. So you have to keep your payroll on. I never thought about it like that. So
I'll give you an idea of a fortunate thing that really happened to us, and that is early in our business career, probably 2001, somewhere in that neighborhood. We had one of our largest customer file bankruptcy on us, but it was a reorg. They filed a reorg against us for $238,000, and we were a company of about 10 at that point in time. But the interesting thing is when a company files for reorg, you have no secured debt whatsoever. You're going to lose what they currently owe you, but we were added to a preferred vendor list. And we did business with that company for 19 more years, and they paid us millions of dollars.
That's not letting your ego get in the way.
Right.
It's, you know, I think that's some small businesses do that.
It was taking what we could get. I mean,
yeah, it was a situation where we recognized the opportunity, and we felt that they would recover, and they did. But that is fortunate.
And we had a great relationship with the people that we knew in the business, and there was they liked what we did. They trusted us to do good work for them, and we trusted that they would take care of us, on the backside. And you
didn't take it personally. You looked at it straight from a business point of view.
Purely.
That's smart. This is a great place to take a break. When we come back, we'll pick the big brains of John and Mark some more, founders of the mainstream technology. What does the future look like in this fast-paced world of computer science, and how will it affect you, the user? And at the bottom of the hour, we'll be taking calls, so listen and get your questions ready.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. If you miss any part of this show, a podcast will be made available next week at flagandbanner.com's website. If you prefer to listen on iTunes, YouTube, or SoundCloud, you'll find those links there as well. Lots of listening options. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. I'm speaking today with John Burgess and Mark McClelland, co-founders of Mainstream Technology in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. So let's talk about all the things you offer. Desktop support now, which is new. Internet support. You don't do web design. So
we'll do web design if it's in the context of a larger software If we're writing a large application for you that has like a website component or has a mobile app component, we'll do those, but we don't lead with those.
Okay. Yeah, because I've tried to get y'all to remember when I was trying to get. We have so much history together. I don't think I can ever interview anybody I don't have a lot of history with because it's so much fun. But I had this guy, Joe Coburg, working for me, and he left, and he wrote some crazy software, and when we updated the website, we couldn't get it to work, and your guy over there kept saying to me, because y'all didn't do very much internet design at that time, I don't know. We're not going to look at your shopping cart. That's your problem. I was so mad at him. So I went in and pulled it up on the board, and they pulled up the code behind my shopping cart, and it had these NA. And I said, what are all those NAs? And he went, oh, I don't know. I said, well, that could be what the problem is. And it was. I thought, boy, I'm a programmer now. He wouldn't even look at it. He would not even look at it. So anyway, I just had to bust y'all out on that too. He's not there, I'm sure. That was a long time ago. Anyway, so internet, web design, storage. That's what you've always done for me.
Yeah, we host.
Lots of storage. And so by that, tell everybody what storage means.
Well, it depends on whether the storage is...
Mark can't talk. He can't get over what I said to him.
I'm quickly trying to remember exactly what contract I have in place with you right now, Kerry.
I just signed one, so you're stuck.
The agreement we have in place with you is to support your on-premise devices. So as far as all of the resources that you utilize, all your servers, all your desktops, your switches, your firewalls, and what have you, you own all of that. And so we don't actually keep any of your storage on our premise. We have our own data center downtown Little Rock, but everything that we do for you is on premise. So we charge you based upon the number of devices in which we manage for you. Do you have a question?
No, so I thought we were backing up some stuff downtown. Are we not?
No, we as part of our third party suite, backup is included, but it is backed up to the cloud.
Oh,
so you have a backup service now that is not within our data center, but it is a cloud-based third-party vendor.
And for everybody who wants
we
to
manage it for you.
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
we manage it for you, yes.
So you've got, let's tell everybody where you are in downtown. You've got a really cool building. As your business grew, you were lucky enough to get the what was that building before you got it? The Federal?
Former Federal Reserve Bank building of Little Rock. It was the backup facility for the St. Louis Federal Reserve.
It's a vault.
It is a vault. It's a bunker.
It's a bunker.
Yeah, they used to destroy money in there, and it used to have armed guards and two entrance doors for the security vehicles to drive through, and they would take money out and shred it and burn it.
Why would you shred and burn money?
Old money.
Old money.
My favorite kind of money is old money. I don't understand.
We still find you can find little tiny little pieces of money every so often. You'll find one laying on the floor.
Somebody over there trying to piece it off, tape it all together.
That would be a job.
We looked real close, and we couldn't find anything.
But it's a really great
together.
place for y'all to have a secure place because everybody wants security is a big issue and a problem today. Marla Johnson was on here from Aristotle, and I was talking to her about security and hackers. Because we've been hacked, and y'all are constantly coming over there and putting and installing new security software. And she said that really and truly nobody is secure. If somebody wants in, you can get in.
It is eventually, they will if they're interested in getting into your business. Eventually, they will find a way into your business. The strategy is just to make yourself. Just do the basic, do the stuff that any reasonable person should do to keep their information secure, and make yourself less appealing than your neighbor, just like you would do at home.
Mm-hmm. So I always thought being in that building that was a Federal Reserve building that was a bunker, I always felt like that would keep y'all more secure, but not necessarily.
From a physical standpoint, yes, but not from a cyber standpoint.
We still have to have wires in and out, and that's how they get in.
Right, and the weakest link in the security chain is the individual, the human being. Meaning, if an individual can make themselves look like you, from a credential standpoint, they're in. So that's one thing why you have to practice good password levels, extreme levels of password security, and just do the basics.
So of all the things you do, did I miss one? Desktop support, storage, backup, server support, internet and web design, software. You're still I imagine still being
software still most of our business, yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is most of your business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we do colo, which is co-location. You can put your servers within our data center, and we also sell infrastructure, which says if you don't want to own servers anymore, you can rent our servers within our data center to run your operations from.
I did that when we first got onto the internet. We would always rent our servers.
Right.
Well, this is, everybody talks about the cloud. Well, this is, we call this a private cloud because you're the only person in the cloud. Mm-hmm. It's your little cloud.
And there's no security issues if they're coming into your building and getting onto a computer that's within your building? I mean, that seems like there'd be security issues about that. So they're able to they're able to bring their customers and everybody into your facility, which is probably linked up to other.
Well, we have an area of our data center for customers, because a lot of our customers don't ever want to see their computers. Mm-hmm. They put them with us, and then they're kind of out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. We manage them for them, and we take care. I guess
there's no security issues, even though they can log into their.
Yeah, they log in remotely and run their business remotely from the computer in our place.
But they come over secured VPN connections. Mm-hmm. So,
but the ones that we have an area in the data center for customers that that do want to come lay hands on their box, and we issue them a badge and get their fingerprint, and they're on an approved list that they can come and go to their computer as they need to.
So who's your client? Who do you think your biggest client is?
Our biggest client currently is the Department of Finance and Administration.
Of Arkansas?
Of Arkansas.
How small do you go? Me? Am I as small as you'd go? $3 million company?
You're probably on the smaller end.
Mm-hmm.
From a IT standpoint, 20 users.
20 users. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Devices.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another example of how we've evolved over the years. Is we've deliberately been raising kind of the floor of the size projects that we'll take on.
So you started off taking on smaller projects and you grew to bigger ones now?
Yes.
Because you got more selective?
We get more selective because after analyzing an experience, that we've learned that it's harder to make money on the smaller projects, the smaller customers. So we intentionally raise our floor over time to. It just helps with it's easier to support larger customers.
Sure.
There's more margin. There's more to gain. So
of all the things you do, which thing do you think you do the best? So we found out who your customers are. What do you think's your best thing you do? I know what I think it is.
I still believe that we do application development better than anybody in the state of Arkansas.
Software.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not specific about what kind of software you do. You just bring a problem to me and I'll do it.
Yeah, we manage the state employee and public teacher health insurance program for DF&A. We do some work for the My School info page at the Department of Education rolled out last year, where you can see your school's ACT scores and compare them to other. We wrote that.
What's your favorite
supply
language?
Chain management.
What's your favorite language?
Profanity. That's the first language every programmer learns, and the only one that most of them ever get good at.
No, really. Do you have one you like the best?
Mark and I are such dinosaurs now that
y'all really don't know.
They don't let us write code anymore.
No, they won't let us.
So what do they write it on? Open source? Probably not.
Probably most of our work today is, I would say, equally divided between Java and C#.net, which is a evolution of some older languages that we wrote, C++.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
So, yeah. That seems to be, we do there's a lot of other kind of one-off. Each project kind of brings its own unique, and that's another strength that we have is we meet the customer where they are. Mm-hmm. So if they're using this, chances are we have somebody that knows that.
Well, that's true. You want to tie into what they're already using.
Yes.
If you get an already existing customer, yeah.
But you'd be amazed at some of the project work that we do. Actually starts out as old mainframe COBOL that people are still running.
No, I wouldn't be.
That we convert for them, and we just have a unique number of resources that work for us that can bridge that gap. They can go from old mainframe COBOL to .NET applications.
I would imagine that all those old state agencies are like that.
We just finished the Arkansas Crime Information Center, which manages the criminal information database for the state. We just finished rewriting some 30-year-old system for them.
But I bet that old COBOL is secure.
It's secure because nothing can talk to it.
Yeah,
right, that's what I was going to say. I bet nobody can talk to it, We,
interestingly enough, that first application that we wrote in 1996 was a COBOL mainframe application.
Oh, wow.
And they called us back 12 years later, and we got the opportunity to rewrite it because we were the only ones who could read the old system and understand what it was doing, and also had the people that could write it in the new language.
That's kind of true. Once you get with a programmer, you're married to them. You really are.
Yes.
I mean, I can't ever leave y'all. Y'all can't ever fire me. I know y'all tried a couple times.
And we have people that have been with us 18 and 19 years.
Oh, I know.
That's another one of our strengths is that, we write your software for you and you call us back in 5 years for something to change about it. Chances are the person that wrote the software for you still works for us.
That speaks highly of your company and your company culture. That really does. All right, it's a great place to take another break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with John and Mark, founders of Mainstream Technology. And if you have a question for either one of these guys, don't be intimidated. You can call. Tim will give you a phone number right after the break.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. If you miss any part of the show, a podcast will be made available next week at flagandbanner.com's website. If you would prefer to listen on iTunes, YouTube, or SoundCloud, you'll find those links there as well. Lots of listening options. We'll be right back with the phone number for calling in.
Arkansas Flag and Banner is proud to underwrite Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. McCoy began this broadcast a year and a half ago with the intention of offering a mentoring platform for those with an entrepreneurial spirit. Through candid conversation and interesting interviews with business and community-minded Arkansans, listeners gain insight into starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Kerry McCoy, founder and president of Arkansas Flag and Banner, believes in paying knowledge and experience forward and developed this radio show as a means of doing so. The biographies, life experiences, and wisdom of her guests would likely go unheard if not for this venue. Rarely do people open up for an hour to an audience about their life, mistakes, triumphs, and pitfalls. This unique radio show allows the listener intimate access into the stories of prominent leaders in our state. I am Adrienne McNally, manager of the Arkansas Flag and Banner showroom and gift shop, located on the first floor of the historic Taborian Hall on the corner of 9th and State Streets in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. In business for 43 years, we offer an old-school shopping experience with front door parking, clerks to help you, and department store variety. Open to the public Monday through Friday, 8 to 5:30, and Saturday, 10 to 4.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. I'm speaking today with John Burgess and Mark McClelland, co-founders of Mainstream Technology in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay, we had a great person call in on the break or send an email on the break and ask us a question about programmers. We were talking about programmers earlier before we went on the air and what different animals they are. But the question was, do you have to go to school to be a programmer? Or do you hire people at Mainstream Technologies that just come in and take a programming test? How do you do that? How do you qualify them?
We look at how much experience they have and kind of what their experiences have been in the hiring process. That's probably more important than what pedigree you have or where you have your degree from, or how you attained your knowledge, whether the term we like to use is in the wild, which would be like taking an online course or just kind of DIY in it, versus, some 4-year degree. Most of our developers have 4-year degrees. We've got a handful of them that don't. But I think the thing that attracts us to a programmer is kind of that body of work that they've done. What kind of tools have they been working on? What kind of projects have they worked on? There's some seasoning you get in the real world that you don't get either in school or online. And you got to learn how to handle those exceptions, all the NAs on the board. So
there is definitely a love-hate relationship with programmers and programming. Either you love it or you do not. We're looking for people who love it, and that does not necessarily mean a 4-year degree. We have some outstanding resources that have been with us for 15 plus years that do not have a degree.
You're talking about human resources.
Yes.
Yes, in my experience, I have found that if you have to go to school to learn to be a programmer, you don't love it. That you either cannot not do it, that you were always reading, always tinkering, always playing, always writing, and, that's been my experience, that if you come in and say, oh, I have this degree and now I want to become a programmer, that you're not usually a self-starter enough, because programming changes so fast, so quick. You have to be constantly reading and staying up on it.
You can be in love with programming, but you can't be in love with any particular language or type of programming.
And programmers are prima donnas. Let's just talk about it.
Well, they're artists.
They are artists. It's very creative, and they're very artistic, and they're very, they're just prima donnas. They're very temperamental. And when they write a program, it's their baby. It's their creation. You have to be careful. So how do you handle all of that? How do you manage that when they come in there? Do you read the code in back?
Well, what you try to do is to get them to be collective prima donnas. And what I mean by that is following some kind of standardization that they have all bought into from a development standpoint. So try not to remove their artistic
pride of authorship.
But what you want them is to buy into a team type of authorship.
Pride of authorship. Is that a word y'all made up?
No.
I have never heard that term before. That's a tweetable term, pride of authorship. That's even true in any creative.
Anything.
Yeah. We want it to be our pride, not your pride.
What do you think's going to, are most of your customers local? When I was asking you about your customers.
At the present, most of them are. At times, one of the things that prompted that decision in 2004 to start diversifying was that we'd been in business 8 years and nobody in Arkansas knew our name, because all of our customers were out of state.
You do a lot of local teaching. You do a lot of local support. You do have the touchdown.
Tip-off club.
Tip-off club. So is that why you started doing some local promoting of yourself and getting involved in the community?
Absolutely.
It is? I wondered why y'all were doing that. So you have the local tip-off club, which is, well, tell everybody what it is.
It's a tip-off club. It's run by the North Little Rock Parks and Recreation Department. All the proceeds, it's a fundraising deal that they do. All the proceeds go to build their One Heart program, which is a all-access playground in North Little Rock. But it runs during basketball season. It's a weekly luncheon, usually on Monday, where they bring in basketball-related speakers each week. We name a high school boy and girl player of the week each week.
Oh, really?
And get to hear from a great, usually some legendary basketball person that you know.
I've had some great, I've met some great pictures and had some great pictures taken with a legendary basketball player. I met Mike Anderson there. He's a lot larger than you think, because his players are so huge. He looks like a small guy, but he's big.
Yeah. He speaks every year.
He does?
Yes.
So is it hard to find people over there to come and talk? I mean, you get some very big athletes and celebrities over there. Is it hard? Or are you involved in that? Do you just
we just
sponsor it?
Yeah, we just sponsor, and
so you don't have to worry about the nuts.
No,
and
we're
bolts
not in the
that.
talent acquisition phase of the program.
We've had Charles Barkley. We've had some big names come in.
You have all
Jerry Tarkanian.
Oh wow, you've had all the Razorback basketball coach, which were a few there for a few years. And I guess you've had Nolan Richardson.
Oh yeah,
Nolan and Eddie Sutton.
Oh wow, that's a good one too. Yeah, that's a great club over there. If anybody doesn't know about it, it's the Tip-Off Club in North Little Rock. I guess they can Google that online if they want to ever go. I think it's open to the public if you want to buy tickets, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it goes to a great cause. But you also like to do volunteering. John, I don't know about Mark, but I know that John, you volunteer by teaching. We always talk about how great leaders are great teachers. And you do the STEM programs, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics. What do you do there?
I'm on the board of the Arkansas Museum of Discovery, which is a great, for younger children, getting them, igniting. Their mission is to ignite a love of STEM, or STEAM is they've added A for arts in there. But just, trying to get young kids interested in STEM related careers and education.
That's good.
And we actually have an intern working for us from Little Rock School District. They just launched a program called Excel this year, which is it's an alternative education thing for career exploration. And we have a kid from J.A. Fair who comes in every afternoon and he's learning how to be a programmer.
See, now that kid they'll hire because he's going to have experience. When he fills out a resume, he's going to have experience. Now, people should try to get as much experience. Sometimes I think people's education gets in the way of their career. You know, you come out of school and you haven't done any kind of hands-on anything. It's almost like your education got in the way of your career development. What do you think about the future for the world in 20 years? Robots, self-driving cars, how's the internet going to be used? Will we still have a government? Just kidding about that.
Will the technological singularity happen?
What is that, and what does that mean?
That's when artificial intelligence becomes so advanced that human beings have to augment their own nervous systems with artificial intelligence, and we become more machine than human.
So we can keep up.
Tim.
This guy knows.
Tim.
It's happening.
I hope it doesn't get to that point.
So, I'm on the opposite end. Sign me up. I'm ready.
I'm not.
You want to be augmented?
Mm-hmm. John actually believes that most people can't even cope in the world we have today. So he's trying to get everyone augmented to catch up to technology.
So what do you think? What do you think about Tim's question? No. Please say no.
No.
I think it'll get here faster than people are thinking.
You do? Y'all have opposing
I'm
opinions.
absolutely with you.
You're already augmented. It's just not in you yet. I mean, you've got that phone attached to you all the time.
All the time.
You get the Google glasses. Good point there.
And I always think that there will be a pushback from a technology standpoint. People won't give up their freedom for
And you
all
can
the
put
advancements.
Well,
Yeah.
aren't they aren't they already doing the chip maybe that you can pay with, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Is he
Yes.
he said the
Chip
chip
in your hand, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the chip in your hand. Yeah, some people scan that at work. You put a chip in your hand, you have to go in and be scanned. I saw that on.
Well, that's the
Number of the beast is what
the
mark of the
mark
beast.
of the beast.
Yeah.
From the standpoint, that would be my personal
Well,
belief.
they called the Social Security number the mark of the beast when I was a kid. But there are some companies that have the chips in their hands and they scan it in to go in. I saw it on a news show. And
That company got a lot of. I don't know that I agree with that.
I know.
From a company standpoint, that seemed kind of invasive.
It did to me too. All right.
Well,
how about
the theories we'll get from the standpoint of shopping experiences. You'll walk in and you'll grab whatever you want to, and you'll walk out, and you won't have any exposure or interchange with store personnel,
how come?
because everything will
have a sensor on it.
Everything will have a sensor of some kind.
Well, how do they know how to tie it to you?
Because you get the chip.
Because you're going to have a chip in you.
Right.
Jesse?
They already have the Google stores, actually.
Yeah.
Amazon Go.
Amazon
has
Go.
one.
Amazon
Yeah.
Go. Amazon Go is more of a video type of access to the product in which you're pulling, and not necessarily an RFID type of a pull of data. So they're watching you camera wise, and they can determine what you leave the store with. I'm not sure I buy into that technology as a long-term solution as opposed to RFID.
So you're saying they'll have the product will have the RFID on it, and then the human will have a chip in them, and when they two go out together, they'll match you up and say, you bought that. Take it out of your bank account.
I actually believe your only stop will be to determine whether or not you want to put this on credit, or whether you want it going debit against your regular bank account.
And you'll just have to use your eyes to look to the right
I
for
think you'll
one, and
blink
look to
once
the
for
other.
credit,
Blink.
you know.
Yeah,
or tap the credit or whatever as you walk out the door.
All right, robots. That's robots. How about self-driving cars?
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. So I think I told y'all before, my husband was in Philadelphia last year, one of the homes of Google, and self-driving cars were being tested there, and people were driving around reading books, and there were so many wrecks they had to quit making them read books. But now they're just riding around. Oh, no, that wasn't it. They're riding around reading books. But prior to that, there was nobody in the car. The cars were just driving around with nobody in them, and they started having wrecks. So they put people in them, and then you just read a book on your way to work or wherever you were going. I think that is going to be really nice.
Well, this big truck, they just had a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they had a 18-wheeler that drove from L.A. to Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
What?
It is staying on the main highway.
Just on the interstate, on
it's gonna stay on the
I-10.
interstates.
I mean, that's...
I was curious how they fueled it. You got to have a driver or rider at least to refuel the vehicle. It's not ever going to refuel itself.
Well, maybe they had people waiting at stations, and it just went to that station, and then the guy came out, attendant came out, fueled the car took off, and then the car took off again.
I think in my mind, the most interesting kind of changes to think about with self-driving cars are how it's going to transform ownership of vehicles and what that affects. So if you don't, the only reason you own a car, a car is like the worst utilized asset anybody has.
Mm-hmm.
You pay this, you buy this expensive asset and you use it about 10% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you become, and that's for convenience because you can't trust another human to be there when you're ready to go and I think once you get more comfortable with, there's a computer running it and it's going to be there when you want it and it's going to take you where you want to go, then the need to actually own that car goes down. So then, we got all these houses that have garages that all of a sudden that space isn't needed anymore because you don't have a car anymore. You have all these parking lots and parking decks in downtown Little Rock that real estate is.
So companies will own fleets of
it'll just be
automated driving vehicles, and
it'll all become
it'll be
cabs.
Uber on demand
Yeah.
without the Uber driver.
Yeah. So what does it do to all the garages? What does it do to all the parking lots?
How do you handle driving or going on vacation? And
Well, that's
things
where
like
you rent a vehicle for an extended period of time. But
Wow.
I think that once the self-driving cars take hold and everybody really sees the benefit and how this is really better than driving it yourself and taking care of it yourself, I think it's going to radically transform society.
I love that idea. Wouldn't it be nice to have all the parking lots turned into grassy areas? It might save our planet. There's so many people driving around in one big car. You could get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'll obviously reduce the number of vehicles, so you don't want to own GM stock or anything like that at some point in time.
How long do you think before that happens?
10 years.
I think it'll be within 10 years.
That quick?
Yes.
I think once it's going to be like all this
tipping
technology
point.
changes faster and faster, and there's a tipping point. And
So we're going to have more unemployment, I guess.
well,
Or is it just going to change? Just going to move to people that can now work on vehicles. Now there's going to be a lot of mechanics needing.
You're still
Maybe. Maybe we're still going.
for a period of time, yeah.
That is really not what I thought this conversation was going to go today. All right, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank you. It went by fast, didn't it? It always does. Everybody always says that. I just love y'all coming on here. Y'all are so smart.
Well, thank you very
Kerry.
much for having us. We
You're
greatly
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You're
Thank
one of the
you.
unique people that makes Little Rock what it is.
I paid them to say that. Thank you, John.
I mean it sincerely.
Well, thank you. Y'all do too. Y'all do great work. I have to tell everybody you're one of my Dancing into Dreamland corporate sponsors. Ever since we started Dancing into Dreamland 10 years ago, you have bought a balcony and brought your company over to be supportive. Thank you very much. Y'all are good supporters of me. All right, I got you a gift. You're going to be like, what could it be? Oh, look, y'all brought me over mouse pads the other day. I'm giving you mouse pads back.
All right.
So for our listeners,
It's like Rotary, the exchange of flags here.
yeah, so for our listeners, a week or two ago, I signed another contract with these guys, and they brought me over mouse pads and coffee cups and pens and stylus and all this good stuff. And so I just gave them a mouse pad back with my logo on it. But really, that was just the joke for the day. But really, what I brought y'all have a desk set for your desk?
I do not.
So they are getting a U.S. and Arkansas desk
Awesome.
set for their desk. It's a 4x6 inch flag. Hand that down to John.
That would
It's a
probably
4x.
sit on my desk.
Yeah, nobody hardly has those desk sets, and they're just great things to have. Thank y'all
Absolutely.
so much for coming on. If you have a great entrepreneurial story that you would like to share, I would love to hear from you. Send a brief bio about your American story and your contact information, and someone will be in touch. Send your contact info to.
Questions at upyourbusiness.org.
And finally, to our listeners, thank you for spending time with me. If you think this program has been about you, you're right. But it's also been for me. Thank you for letting me fulfill my destiny. My hope today is that you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that it, whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on Up in Your Business. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
You've been listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. If you miss any part of the show or want to learn more about UIYB, go to flagandbanner.com and click on Radio Show. Like us on Facebook or subscribe to her weekly podcast wherever you like to listen. All interviews are recorded and posted the following week with links to resources you heard discussed on today's show. Underwriting opportunities available upon request. Kerry's goal is to help you live the American dream.